Marvin Devine. I'm saying bye to all the lies and all the times you cried, saying that I wasn't right, yet I was right by your side. You manipulator, playing games, your friends commentators, and I don't know what you say about our private conversations, but it's got them hating. Thanks to all the rumors you be claiming. It's cool, I'm done with you, so they can throw you a celebration. You gon' hate it when you see me with somebody living better. I'm trying to tell you that me just doing me gon' have you jealous.
Tuesday, May 5th, 2026. Welcome back to the studio, folks, for your daily inoculation, your daily protection against disinformation, misinformation, yellow journalism, propaganda, hate mongers, and nonsense. We're back once again. Let's get to it here in just a moment. Nonsense. Just want to check out the audio. Make sure it sounds good. It sounds good from my end. All right. Lots of news to talk about here. Programming announcement, a few things coming up. We just had a conversation with Byron Shepard, the Briberoos, recommencing that segment of the program. First time we've done that in probably about a year. So feel free to go check that out. In addition to that, also, what's with the Kuwaiti flags? What's that all about? So that happened. Coming up after this program, you'll be directed there automatically, is the first collaboration between Professor G and myself. It's the Colonel and Professor G's Refugee Forum. We'll be talking at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time right after this broadcast, so feel free to join us there if you're interested in refugee issues or questions or concerns. I'll be talking to an asylum attorney and myself, an advocate for the refugee program. Not in favor of it, but advocating for those who participate in it, so to speak. Also, tomorrow, Minri Lamprecht will be back on the program. She was a guest previously, a South African new arrival in Eau Claire, Wisconsin. She wants to update us on her progress. In addition to that, I've sent message out to a number of people who are in Orlando and in Tampa. It looks like I'll confine my trip to Orlando and Tampa. So, let's... That's coming up this weekend. Initially, I thought I was going to go to Jacksonville. I don't think I'll be going to Jacksonville any longer. So anyway, so anyone who's in Orlando and Tampa, of course, that includes St. Petersburg, Clearwater, all those places. I'm trying to set up meet and greets on Saturday and Sunday and Monday with South Africans down there. So if you can reach out to me, I've checked my mail for anyone that's in Florida. I've written to people who've relocated there, plus people were there in the beginning, and trying to sort this out. So anyway, let me know, and I'll try to get this all together. My flight is booked. My rental vehicle is booked. None of my accommodation is taken care of. Someone's offered me accommodation, but it's near the Space Coast, and that's a little bit of a drive. But that doesn't mean I won't take it. I have to take... Oh, UAE. Sorry. Look like I saw this Kuwaiti flag. UAE flag. Got you, Samantha. Sorry about that. UAE flag. Thank you for correcting the record there. Don't worry about Nigerian numbers. Just ignore them. Just don't answer them. I don't answer a lot of my phone calls. As people get pissed off, they send me messages. I never give them my number, and they call me, and I don't know who you are. I get unsolicited calls all the time. That's why my phone stays on silent. Speaking of which, I need to charge my mobile before I forget. I need to run out after this and do a few things. So there we go. All right. Had a very frustrating experience a short while ago with military healthcare system. I tried to renew my prescription for doxycycline. It says renew. And so I did it. It took me to the place to send an email message to my provider. I did it. Sent it to my provider. Then I received an email message back saying, schedule an appointment to get a renewal. Why do I need an appointment? Why do I have to waste $10 of petrol and 2 hours of my time to drive there? So then I went through schedule an appointment. It says you can schedule by phone or in person. So I tried to schedule. And then it lists every single Department of Defense medical facility on the planet. It took me about 20 minutes to scroll down to find Army, Carlisle, Pennsylvania. And then it has two teams. I don't even know which team. It doesn't tell me I'm assigned to a team. So I guessed, because I'd never heard of the gray team, so I pushed the blue team. And in the end, it comes up, gives you 1 day period. So I clicked on it, nothing available. 25 minutes of my life wasted trying to get a renewal on a prescription. This is just a broken system. They use automation and screw things up. If you make things more difficult with automation, you're a dunderhead. And that's what so many companies do, and that's what the military does. Very frustrating. Well, Apocalypse Ninja, I just mentioned places that I'm going in Tampa. I just said Clearwater is one of them, and Tampa. I'll go where the concentration of refugees are at. I need to know where those are at. I don't know where people are staying in clusters, preferably because some people don't have transport. It's better to go and for me to book accommodation near them and travel short distance to them so that I can link up with them. That's how I've been doing it when I went to Columbus. That's how I did it when I went to Cleveland and to Erie and Buffalo, all those places. That's what I did. I found a accommodation near where the concentrations of South Africans are, because people don't always have the ability to travel. Dallas was a good example of that. We had a big bribe, but it was North Dallas, and a lot of people didn't have transport there. So we had about 55 refugees who managed to get there, but we also, including some that drove up from Houston, which was awesome. It was great to meet them and see them. And also, family took me out for dinner. I appreciate that. But then we went ahead and I went to the cluster of them and stayed near them for the last couple of days so that I could link up with those folks there. So, hey, what's going on? All right. Yana, I have communicated with Yana, and so I've asked her and among a number of others. So hopefully they'll get me some information. Right, some strange things happening in South Africa. The leader of the National Colored Congress, formerly the Cape Colored Congress, Fidel Adams. Police went to arrest him. No idea what this is all about. Let's take a look and see what's going on with this situation in South Africa as they're seeking him. But apparently he's now turned himself in. Police asked National Colored Congress MP Fidel Adams to hand himself over in connection with fraud and defeating or obstructing the course of justice. They confirmed as a J50 warrant of arrest linked to allegations he interfered in the murder investigation of Sindiso Makakwa. Allegedly raided Mitchell's home on Saturday, Mitchell's Plains home he used to occupy. Wow. Police spokesman Brigadier Athlenda Mate said on Tuesday morning that investigation revealed Adams allegedly interfered with a convicted and sentenced hitman at a sensitive advanced stage of the police investigation. Police have gone through extensive efforts to locate Mr. Adams, including visiting multiple addresses associated with him, arrangements made with his attorney for him to hand himself over on Monday, but as of now, he has not cooperated. That was earlier today. Responding to police calls for him to hand himself over, he told News 24, "I will comply. I have a case before the courts." He said, "I'll hand myself over to the police station because I know what's coming." Wow. He said he'll be writing to the National Assembly Speaker Toko Didiza, the public prosecutor of the South African Human Rights Commission. National Colored Congress MP Fidel Adams is transported to KZN to appear in court. He's been transported by police from Cape Town to KZN, where he'll appear in court on Wednesday, according to NCC Treasurer General and Chief of Staff Ibrahim Burton, who addressed a contingent of journalists outside the Cape Town Central Police Station. He handed himself over to police after authorities issued a warrant for his arrest earlier today. News 24 witnessed police arriving at the parliamentary villages in Pelican Park, and Adams was taken into custody in connection with charges. So, if he lives in the parliamentary villages, why were they raiding a house in Khayelitsha? Why were the police raiding a house there? Was he not at the parliamentary block when they went looking for him? Police confirmed they're in possession of the J50 warrant for Adams' arrest, which is linked to allegations he interfered in the investigation into the murder of former ANC Youth League Secretary General Sandiso Makakwa. Yeah, I don't know what Fidel Adams did or didn't do. I've met him in person and was going to interview him, but it never did pan out. I think it's mostly because I didn't follow through. I don't know what he's done or not done, but that's not a good thing. He's a leader of the National Colored Congress, which was the Cape Colored Congress, and not looking good. But that doesn't mean he's guilty. Doesn't mean he's innocent. We don't know. We'll have to wait and see. In theory, they should have enough information in order to actually get a warrant to arrest him. So maybe there's something to it. And Future Looks Bright says he's not well connected enough politically to get out of this one. You are correct. He doesn't have any mojo. Doesn't have the pull. The Concourt ruled against the Bite Bridge fence contractors. Interesting. Constitutional Court has refused to entertain appeals by two construction companies against a ruling by the special tribunal that they must repay all profits made from the Bite Bridge border fence project. The 40 million rand contract for the construction of 40 kilometers of razor mesh, 40 million rand fence along the border between South Africa and Zimbabwe was awarded two companies by the Department of Public Works in March of 2020. They received advance payments of $21.8 million. After completion, the fence began to fall apart, and the illegal crossings it was meant to eliminate continued. Well, it's not their fault that the fence was inadequate, but the poor quality is their fault, so they should be blamed for poor quality, not for it stopping illegals from coming to the country. That's ridiculous. You need to patrol those fences. You don't just put a fence up and walk away. You patrol it. 10 minutes from the airport. You're welcome to stay at my house this weekend. Vero, can you send me a message, WhatsApp or email about that? Just put in Tampa accommodation if it's an email, okay? And let me look at that and see, okay? That may save me some money. Appreciate that. Right. Gate McKenzie announces that 16 fans will have all expenses paid for World Cup trip. Meanwhile, starving children in the Eastern Cape want to know why they don't get to go to the World Cup. It's fully funded by sponsors and not the department. So the private sector is paying for it. Department of Sport, Arts, and Culture has announced names of 16 lucky fans selected to attend the World Cup. The department launched the competition last week to select 20 passionate South African supporters to travel to the U.S. or Mexico to attend Bafana Bafana group stage match. Fans from 16 Premier Soccer League clubs were required to record a 30-second video demonstrating their passion for football. Okay? Each submission was assessed with a clear criteria, the level of enthusiasm. What's the demographics of the people who were selected? There were 4 more spots that we filled through a wildcard selection process on social media. So apparently this is being funded by, here are the selected fans, okay? Bonakali, Sebe, Adam Tombe, Ernest Jacobs. There are 2 European names in this entire 16 list. Don't know if they're white or colored, though. Adam Schlossberg and Ernest Jacobs. There's at least one Indian, Salman Khan. So the rest are black Africans, it would appear, based on their surnames. So the private sector is paying for it, then I don't have a problem with it. Former President Jacob Zuma, leader of the Mkhonto weSizwe Party, dismisses the section of the Constitution under 235, saying exclusive self-determination territories are not acceptable. Mkhonto weSizwe Party leader Jacob Zuma set the record straight with AfriForum leader Kali Creel in a meeting the two leaders held this week in Durban. MK spokesman Nwalo Nandela said Zuma rejected the idea of exclusively white self-determination territories like Orania in the Northern Cape and said this will be done away with under the MK government. And I call on the dissolution of the trust, the Zulu trust. Just dissolve it now. Let everyone else live there. White people can live there, brown people can live there, everyone can live there, not just Zulus. Yep, let's do it. Ngunyoma Trust. Dissolve it. If you can't have exclusively areas for exclusive culture, then there's no need for the Ngunyoma Trust. Take the Ngunyoma Trust away from the Zulu King and let it be traded publicly. Simple as that. Hypocrites. 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 We'll see. By the way, I have Kali Creel on the program Thursday at 4 o'clock South African time to discuss that. Yeah, exactly, Charles. You take the Ngunyoma Trust away, and suddenly their mind will change completely. Yeah, they don't want exclusive cultural zones for other groups, but it's okay for Zulu, a fake nation anyway, a nation that didn't exist before Shaka forged a nation by murdering, slaughtering, raping, pillaging, and chasing others away. Cyril Ramaphosa has been praising Lobisha publicly, but ANC insiders reveal private scolding. The ANC, never. Why are all these ANC politicians the size of, props and larger? They're massively obese, morbidly obese. I think Jacob Zuma's had dementia for years. Why are all these ANC politicians in office morbidly obese? He's in his 80s now, Erica. He's 80 or 81. Morbidly obese. I mean, this isn't just, somebody had a little too much at the table. Look at this. This is morbidly obese. This is a health care hazard. This woman's health is in jeopardy. President Ramaphosa has publicly praised Nelson Mandela Babalawa Lobishe, but criticized her leadership. Remember, she gave herself 8 out of 10. This woman is delusional. Lobisha faced allegations of unilateral decision-making, corruption, and poor service, including water and electricity outages. ANC, Northwest, and NWC urged intensified efforts to address governance challenges. Yeah. The party lost its majority at Nelson Mandela 10 years ago, and now it's dropped to 39% in the past local government election. They're going to drop to 25% this time. According to sources, deep-seated tensions between Lobishi and REC were evident at a meeting in NWC. She rates herself 8 out of 10. It leads municipalities been marred by corruption allegations and service delivery. Yep. There she is. Morbidly obese. Wow. After engaging in a series of community and service delivery oversight activities across the Nelson Mandela region, the ANC National Work Committee met with the PEC and REC in Nelson Mandela Bay to receive reports on the state of the organization. They're just wasting more time and people's resources. Yep, I got you, Yell Topper. Well, he was asked to surrender and he didn't, so they've issued a J50 warrant. Yep. Thank you, Yell Topper. Yeah, no, I suspect that because he didn't turn himself in, that's why they did J50. Thank you for explaining what a J50 warrant is. Immigration crisis. We must reject tribalism, says the MK party. Yeah, the largest ethnic group in South Africa, tells others not to have their own groups. The party says it's observed and monitored recent activities and condemned statements that have been made on public platforms. In a statement, party spokesman Nlamu Ndlela said that the duty of political leaders to unite South Africans, not divide them. Illegal immigration is a serious national issue affecting all South Africans across every tribe, language, group, and province. It's therefore misleading and cowardly to frame these challenges belong to one community or another province. Oh, I agree with that. From the Alexandria Township and Deep Salute to Khayelitsha, these frustrations well documented, including the 2008 violent protests and later unrest in 2015-2019. Illegal immigration is clearly a national concern, not a provincial or tribal one. 100%. So man your borders. It used to be 7 South African infantry companies patrolling the border with Zimbabwe and Mozambique and Eswatini. That ain't happening anymore. And people just pour across the border. At least 120 Western Cape schools to close following severe weather warnings. That's bad mojo. An intense cutoff flow is bringing heavy rain, gale force winds, snow, flooding, and very cold conditions to the Western Cape, Eastern Cape, and parts of the Northern Cape from Tuesday to Thursday. 120 schools in George, Knysna, Oudtshoorn will close on Wednesday and Thursday amid severe weather warnings. Well, that's not good. South Africa's White Minister of Agriculture, John Steenhuisen, gazettes foot and mouth disease vaccination scheme, lifts disaster area. Agriculture Minister John Steenhuisen announced that a Section 10 scheme allowing cattle farmers to vaccinate against foot and mouth independently has been gazetted, but it's still not in effect. Foot and mouth disease restrictions in KwaZulu-Natal's disaster management area will be lifted. Easy movement controls have been in place since 2021. South Africa secured 6 million vaccine doses and 9 million more are on the way, costing $238 million so far, with costs expected to rise to $644.5 million, which pales in comparison to the damage done to the agriculture sector by the negligence of the Department of Agriculture under his predecessor and under John Steenhuisen, who's now been in office for 2 years and just getting a solution. Government's decimal error causes a big mistake. The decimal point error has mistakenly increased South Africa's official wholesale diesel price for May by almost a liter. The Department of Mineral and Petroleum Resources announced on Monday that wholesale diesel price would increase by 6.19 a liter on Wednesday. This should have reflected an increase in the diesel fuel levy relief of 93 cents to 3.93 per liter. Instead, the department's calculation accounted for an increase of only 0.93 cents. This means the diesel price should rise by 5.27 a liter, 92 cents less than the official increase. That's not a mistake. That's not a mistake. They're stealing. They're stealing. That's not a mistake, folks. The government didn't gazette an error there. They didn't make an error by putting 0.93 cents. They intentionally stealing your money. Sorry, I don't mean to laugh at your misfortune, but this is just the ANC. Yeah, it's not a calculation error. It's intentional, no doubt. The Democratic Alliance has a bill to prevent John Schlope and Makwabene before Parliament. Okay. Democratic Alliance Member of Parliament Glynis Breitenbach has proposed a constitutional amendment to bar impeached judges and Chapter 9 heads from holding legislative seats. The bill has been tabled in Parliament and will be referred to the Portfolio Committee on Justice and Constitutional Development. She says her aim with the bill is to bolster trust in Parliament. Well, good luck with that, Glynis. Good luck with that. Busiziwe Makwabene and John Schlope, both disgraced politicians, both still have influence in South Africa's political scene. Shame, shame, shame. Well, here's an op-ed by Mike Matabela, and he says that illegal immigration emboldens racism and other ills. Well, no, racism is already prevalent. It may stoke racism. I don't know if it emboldens. A recent upsurge in anti-immigration anger expressed in various marches around the country has attracted both praise and condemnation from supporters and opposers, including the United Nations. It would be the height of gullibility to relegate these marches, which attract multitudes of people with diverse political ideologies, simply to xenophobia. Really? 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 Let's take a look at these people from diverse political ideologies. They may be diverse political ideologies, but they look to me like they're pretty much all the same damn people. All the same damn people, all from the same damn ethnic groups, all with the same political ideology. You may wear a different hat, but you're all the same. Look at that. What a disgusting urban setting. That's just horrible. Look at that place. It's all gone south so badly under the ANC. Robbie Edwards, welcome from Hartbeespoort. Yeah, we usually have someone else from Hartbeespoort. I haven't seen him in the chat yet. So, the French are claiming that the United States are creating a double blockade. Yes. Comment les États et l'Iran contribuent au double blocage du détroit de Hormuz. Lancé par Donald Trump, l'opération Project Freedom, censée permettre la reprise de la circulation dans le passage stratégique, a entraîné un regain de tensions avec Téhéran. Well, yes, he's claiming that it leads to a double blockade, what the French are saying here. Anyway, the French just bum hurt because they're a bunch of wussies and left-handed surrender monkeys who won't do their share of the lifting to protect the world's energy supply. Iranian official warns U.S., says that it violated the ceasefire and cannot withstand pain. Maersk claims that it sailed through the Strait of Hormuz in a sign of Trump's success. A top Iranian official accused U.S. of violating the ceasefire in the Middle East with its blockade of Iranian ports. Well, let's be technically correct legally. Iran has a point. Iran has a point. A blockade is an act of war. We are currently enforcing a blockade against Iranian ports. Therefore, technically, that's a state of war. Iran has a point. But do you know what I say about Iran's point? That's what I say about Iran's point. I don't really care. Iranian Parliament Speaker Mohammad Baghir Ghalibaf asserted the violation of social media posts one day after a tense start to President Trump's Project Freedom. The security of shipping and energy transit has been jeopardized by the United States and its allies to the violation of the ceasefire and the imposition of a blockade. Of course, their evil will diminish. Of course, this is Iran who just attacked UAE. Neener, neener, neener. To Iran. Oh my goodness. Iranian Foreign Minister Arachi says that talking to Pakistan about peace talks, so the U.S. should be wary of being dragged back into quagmire by ill wishers. So should the UAE. You attacked the UAE. You're the ones dragging the UAE back in. It is time to obliterate this corrupt, venal, murderous regime that killed 30,000 innocent civilians just a few months ago. The U.S. and Iran both claim they have control of the Strait of Hormuz. Who's in charge? Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth hailed the new initiative to escort ships through waterway, but traffic has not resumed. Iranian state news media said Tehran's control of the strait had intensified. How are they controlling it with no navy? United States and Iran made competing claims over which side control the Strait of Hormuz. And by the way, where is UAE? Where is Dubai? Where is Kuwait? Where is Iraq's navy? Why aren't they out there? Why aren't they out there? Anyway, who's in charge? Pentagon Chief Pete Hegseth says ceasefire with Iran is holding despite attacks by Iranian boats. We'll sink them. The Defense Secretary said Tuesday U.S. ceasefire with Iran is holding despite an exchange of fire the day before that resulted in the sinking of at least 6 Iranian boats that had been harassing commercial vessels. The ceasefire is not over. Standing alongside Air Force General Dan Kane, Chairman of Joint Staff, he said the attacks have been below the threshold necessary to declare a ceasefire void. So what is that threshold? I mean, I think that's a fair question. What is the threshold? And they sank 6 more Iranian boats? How many they got left? They claim it sank 100 boats. They didn't have that many. What's going on here? The United Arab Emirates attacked by Iran, global condemnation, even in Al Jazeera, criticizing the actions of the Iranians. Dangerous escalation. The world condemns Iran after attacks in UAE. Saudi Arabia, Qatar, Kuwait, Bahrain, and Jordan denounced missile and drone strikes as Germany, UK, and Canada call for Iran to return to talks. Tensions are rising in the Gulf again after the United Arab Emirates said it intercepted 15 missiles and 4 drones fired from Iran and warned that it reserves the right to respond to the treacherous attacks. The attacks on Monday marked the first time UAE has been targeted since Iran and the United States agreed to a ceasefire on April 8th. According to authorities in UAE, 1 drone attack set off a large fire at the Faraja Petroleum Industry Zone and wounded 3 Indian nationals. Officials said that Iran attacked an empty crude oil tanker belonging to the state oil firm as it attempted to pass the Strait of Hormuz. There was no official comment from Iran, but the state broadcaster carried a statement blaming U.S. military adventurism. U.S. didn't do anything. You did. Saudi Minister of Foreign Affairs said it condemned, denounced in strongest terms the Iranian targeting of civilian economic activities. Qatar said it strongly condemns the renewed Iranian attacks, blatant violation of UAE's sovereignty and a serious threat to the security and stability of the region. Kuwait's Minister of Foreign Affairs condemned Iran's reprehensible aggression in targeting UAE oil tanker and deploying drones. Bahrain denounced the Iranian terrorist attacks and considers the strikes a dangerous escalation and threat to the security and stability of the region. Jordanian Minister of Foreign Affairs Ayman Safadi spoke with his Emirati counterpart, and he said he condemned the renewed Iranian attacks on the UAE. German Chancellor Friedrich Merz, the moron, strongly condemned Iran's attacks and expressed solidarity. Tehran must return to the negotiating table and stop holding the region of the world hostage. Canada's Office of Prime Minister Mark Carney said Canada strongly condemns Iran's unprovoked missile and drone strikes. France's president, the bitch boy, Emmanuel Macron, condemned Iran's strike on UAE, as it has done since the start of the conflict. France will continue to support its allies in the Emirates and in the region for the defense of the territory. But that's just a lie. France is not in the territory. France is not defending anything. France is not protecting anyone. France is not helping any allies in the region. Emmanuel Macron is a fraud, as he's always been. The United Kingdom, Sir Keir, the fascist, condemned the attacks. We are in standing solidarity with UAE and will continue to support the defense of our partners in the Gulf. No, you won't. You're not anywhere to be seen. Your cowardly, callow, almost non-existent Navy is not in the Gulf. It's not helping anyone. Where are you at, Sir Keir? Where are you at? The Gulf Coordination Council, which includes many of the countries I just mentioned, said that their Secretary General said they express said to preserve its sovereignty, security, and stability, they support in the strongest terms UAE. European Union Commissioner Ursula von der Leyen denounced the attacks and extended her full solidarity to UAE President. These attacks are unacceptable and constitute a clear violation of sovereignty and international law. Yes, but what's that going to do? Nothing's going to happen. Nothing's going to happen. Well, as I said, the United States insists the ceasefire is not over, despite the fact we sank 6 Iranian boats yesterday. Iran has not even yet begun the standoff over the critical waterway, top official said Tuesday, after Tehran attacked ships that were part of new American Project Freedom. 2 U.S.-flagged merchant vessels made it through the strait, with shipping giant Maersk confirming that one of its vehicle carriers was escorted out under U.S. military protection. Hegseth said that hundreds of ships from nations around the world are now lining up the transit strait, and said the military was in active communication with them. As a direct gift from the United States to the world, we've established a powerful red, white, and blue dome over the strait. Iran denied there had been any successful crossings, but of course they're liars. Independent companies have stated it for themselves, and the ships can be tracked online. So, the Iranians can lie all they want. They can't stop the internet. President Trump says the Iran war could stretch to 2 or 3 more weeks. Either we make the right deal or we'll win very easily, he said. President Trump said yesterday that the war with Iran could last another 2 or 3 weeks and the United States will ultimately win the conflict. Speaking with radio host Hugh Hewitt, the president commented on the ongoing conflict with Iran amid tenuous ceasefire, and the regime has launched attacks. We've taken out much of what we have to do, he said. Well, that really hasn't changed. He's pretty much saying the same thing. But 2 to 3 more weeks. Well, the accused Los Angeles fire starter aligned himself with the suspected vigilante assassin Luigi Mangione, who murdered in cold blood an American corporate executive on the streets of Manhattan. The man accused of starting one of the most devastating fires in the history of Los Angeles ranted against capitalism and the wealthy when asked why someone might torch Pacific Palisades, although most of the people who live in Pacific Palisades weren't wealthy. Compared the act to the fatal shooting of United Healthcare CEO Brian Thompson. In the pretrial memorandum on April 29th, the U.S. Attorney's Office for Central District California prosecutors Jonathan Rinderknecht was described by his Uber passengers as angry, intense, driving erratically on New Year's Eve 2024, hours before prosecutors said he ignited a fire that smoldered underground and ultimately spread to 37 square miles. And Lordskoy, thank you for the 200 Rand super chat. I appreciate it. That's very kind of you. Thank you. Internet searches uncovered by investigators showed he was fixated on Mr. Mangione, who faces murder charges for the December 2024 killing of Thompson. When investigators asked Mr. Rinderknecht why someone might set the Palisades neighborhood ablaze, he responded that he would be out of resentment of the rich enjoying their money as were basically being enslaved by them, and compared such an act to desperation to the murder for which Mr. Mangione was charged. He pled not guilty. Wow, these sick, twisted bastards and this behavior promoted by the left, the political left and Democrats who promote this violence needs to be stopped. The United States military has struck another suspected drug boat in the Caribbean. Joint Task Force Southern Spear targeting terrorist-linked boats in the Caribbean and the Eastern Pacific. U.S. military May 4th struck a narco-trafficking vessel in the Caribbean, killing 2. Described as a lethal kinetic action. 2 male narco-terrorists were killed during this action. No U.S. military forces were harmed. Wow, they are sinking a lot of these boats. Sinking a lot of these boats. At some point, they're going to run out of these boats, aren't they? Or boat manufacturers going to make a lot more money making new boats. How many of these narco-terrorists and all their drugs are at the bottom of the Caribbean now? Must be a lot of fish high on cocaine. The Trump administration is going after Smith College over its stance with transgender students. Northampton, Massachusetts. The Education Department has opened a civil rights investigation into Smith College, the women's school in Massachusetts, over its enrollment of transgender students. The Trump administration, which has mounted a campaign to limit transgender rights, there is no such thing as transgender rights, in schools has said that admitting women students identified as male at birth and granting them access to women-only space could violate civil rights protections. Indeed, it does. Indeed, it does. The Secret Service shot and wounded an armed man on Monday afternoon just south of the White House in a burst of gunfire that grazed a young bystander. There was no indication the man was targeting anyone in the executive complex. Wow. Supreme Court on Monday also evening agreed to immediately transmit to lower courts its opinion striking down Louisiana's congressional map rather than wait 32 days as would have been routine. Well, that gives Louisiana a chance to have its primaries, after all. The Supreme Court has also, for now, allowed the abortion by mail, the pill to be sent by mail. Mifepristone tablets, the murder pill, are allowed to be sold. Supreme Court Justice Samuel Alito issued an order yesterday allowing the abortion or murder pill to continue to be available through remote appointment and mail, putting on hold an appeals court decision that found the FDA improperly relaxed safety requirements for the drug. He issued the order 3 days after the Fifth Circuit Court of Appeals ruling and 2 days after two pharmaceutical companies rushed to the High Court asking for justice to intervene. This is a five-alarm crisis for the pro-life movement and for the GOP, said Marjorie Densfelser, president of SBA Pro-Life America. At issue is mifepristone, a drug critical to medication abortions. The process allows a pregnancy to be terminated without a surgical visit. The drug has been approved for decades, but traditionally required an in-person visit. So the Supreme Court says that Americans can murder other Americans in the womb through the mail. Voters head to the polls in Ohio, Indiana, and a special election in Michigan. Primaries in Ohio and Indiana. The Buckeye State is holding elections for governor, Congress, and other offices. In the gubernatorial primaries, Amy Acton, former director of Ohio Department of Health, is a presumptive Democratic nominee, while the candidates on the Republican side include entrepreneur and former presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy and automotive entrepreneur Casey Pooch. Competitive congressional districts are the 1st, the 9th, the 10th, and the 15th, after Ohio withdrew its congressional map. The Hoosier State in Indiana has competitive primaries in a couple of congressional districts. The 1st district incumbent Representative Frank Mervyn, a Democrat, faces primary challenge from former Gary Common Council member Lavetta Sparks Wade. In Michigan, the state Senate seat has been vacant since the 2024 election of Kristen McDonald-Rivette to Congress. Democrats hold a 19-18 majority in the chamber. The nominees for the seat are Democratic Shedrick Green, Republican Jason Tumney, and Libertarian Ali Sleds. If Tunney were to win, it would cause a 19-19 tie in the state Senate, meaning the GOP would be able to block votes even though Lieutenant Governor Garland Gilchrist is Democrat. The area election is being held, swings between Democrats and Republicans. Former Vice President Harris got 49.9% of the vote in 2024. And that, my friends, is the news for today, the 5th of May. Cinco de Mayo, the made-up American holiday. Cinco de Mayo. Some people think if you told me to pension, you must be a crazy person, lost all hope and sanity. In fact, it's the ultimate expression of optimism and sanity. Well, I agree, Devet. Yamaha shares, outboard motors. Good point. Fish are not so stupid considering research found female contraceptives in the sea off of South Africa shows more female gender fish than those that change gender more female. Well, that's all over the world. The advent of the birth control pill has feminized all of us. Public water supplies are polluted with estrogen-like compounds from birth control pills, and it's had a disastrous effect on maritime life, and it's also affected humans. You're welcome, Heidi. Shouldn't see how all these redrawn maps will impact the primaries. Yeah, well, remember, these are the primaries, yes, and then the general elections in November. That's what we really need to see what happens. I don't think it's going to have a big impact on primaries, but it will have a big impact on the November election. 2-3 more weeks means we're getting... Oh, I got a scam over here. Another petrol and diesel price increase in June. Probably. Anytime to take your money, they'll do it. This ceasefire is like negotiating with my teenage daughters, says future looks bright. Friends at SAP said the firearm amnesty is also out generating funds when they need them. Where is NATO? Well, that's not NATO's role. The North Atlantic Treaty Organization doesn't exist to protect the Strait of Hormuz. That's not its role. It shouldn't have been Afghanistan. It shouldn't have been Libya. These are not NATO concerns. That was a stretch of NATO's responsibility. NATO has no business being in either one of those places. So this is not a NATO concern. It is, however, a European Union concern, and that's who President Trump should be angry at, the European Union. Well, I would think that the threshold to break a ceasefire would be a single shot, yes. Exactly, Neff. I'm with you 100% on your analysis there. So they're looking into abusive Macquarie. Okay, well, that's good. Exactly, Charles Van Also, you know you're in the deep end when even Al Jazeera criticizes reports on you being criticized. Yeah, that's right. They're patrolling like the ANC's patrolling. That's good, Erica. This, he said, she said, between U.S. and Iran is like high school over again. Well, future looks bright. I think you have a point there. Crazy being awarded for barely keeping the lights on and continuing to increase prices. Here's 140 Rand from Con de Bruin. Good to see you, De Bruin. Good to see you again, man. How's it going? Con de Bruin. Haven't seen you in a bit. You're close enough to Harpy's Point. Okay. Mahali's Okay, Ian. I didn't realize that. Hey, sorry, Corey. What's up? Ants here disgustingly leave a path of destruction wherever they go. 32-year track record, says Lorraine. Correct? Okay. If one looks at all the leading chapters of World War II, the cause of war, it looks to me like World War III has begun. Well, that's a reasonable argument. Anna Kruger, thank you for your 10 months of membership. Sorry, I missed that earlier. The sun was shining Cape Town, says Erica. Delia's back. Good to see you again there, Delia. How's it going? John C. knows he has his foot in his mouth permanently, says Lorraine. Oh, yeah, he's been losing weight since he lost his credit card. Maybe I should lose my credit cards. Maybe I should lose my credit cards. I haven't had Teo Diago on for a bit. Yep. Charles says wife number 8's running around doing all the work. Whose wife is that? Sharon Gosselin, thank you for the 10 Rand 49. Basically, a fat wife meant you were wealthy enough to take care of your wife. Definitely a culture thing. Well, and if you're a male over 50, if you don't have a belly, you're not successful, right? Digital Disciple, apologies about yesterday's mistake with the question in the church while service power went out. I don't recall the question. Sorry about that, Digital Discipline. Did I miss something there? Yeah, the way these people think reminds me of a chap back in the 30s that believed in Lebensraum. Yeah, enough. I got you. Hey, Martin, what's going on? More persecution of white, most Afrikaans-speaking people, despite their self-determination, being about cultural preservation. Correct. Uber Eats says Utopia. Yeah, Uber Eats. Nice food, nice house. You guys are killing it. Ingenium Trust. Yeah, Zuma is the ultimate snake. I agree. Our junior athletes in so many sports get no funding to compete in international competition, but we can spend millions on this. Well, future looks bright. They claim it's all from private sources. So if the private sources want to support this, then, you know, I mean, I look, that'd be no different than you know, ESPN paying for me to go to the Rugby World Cup in Australia next year. Hey, ESPN, are you listening? So I could do, you know, on-the-spot interviews and things like that. That would be the same thing, them paying for me. No different. That'd be fine. But yeah, the government, I don't think government should be paying for athletes anyway. I think the private citizens should be doing that. That's what we do with the U.S. Olympic Committee. We raise funds for them. Yep. Daddy Sarcastic's here. Hey. And Faru offered a place to stay in Campa. Thank you. All right, do you have a fire pole? If you don't have a fire pole, I'm not coming. Okay, I think that takes me back to where I was caught up with the chat now. I'll see what I missed in the last few moments. Jungfrau. What is Jungfrau? That almost sounds like Jungfrau, which is German for virgin. You thought men were becoming effeminate due to contraception and drinking water decades before anyone thought about it. Sorry, fire mistake about raising funds. Okay. Oh, Karen, yeah, I've talked about it for a long time. Colin says, hi, Chris, can you confirm or deny that an American aircraft carrier was struck by two? No American aircraft carrier was struck. Seems like AI reporting as a connect, apparently from a cargo ship. No, not to my knowledge. No. No, there's a lot of AI nonsense going on out there, so that's not true. I mean, a crocodile song. That's in bad taste, though, man. I don't want to do things in bad taste. North Atlantic Terrorist Organization. I don't think that's true. They've been found guilty of contempt of court, not of a serious, excuse me, not a serious what we consider felony conviction. So he can be a leader of the party. Maybe he can't serve in Parliament for so long. Yeah, no yawning. Sorry about that. Red John's coming with a dad joke. I give up, Red John. Crete wants to know, why don't you ever see elephants hiding in trees? What's the dad joke? Tell us the answer, Red John. Why don't you see elephants hiding in trees? Yeah, no yawning. It's been the same in Johannesburg, Northcliffe. Last night, one of the street politicians caught fire up the poles. Oh, wow. Caught fire. That's scary. Huh. The more corrupt, the more qualified, I say, to be the leader. Nancy has an app now for potholes. Pothole Fix. Are you serious? That's interesting. No, I didn't know that. That's news to me. All right, so at the top of the hour, hang on a second here. I'm just checking something. Oops. Ugh, what's that? Play nice. Okay. Cool. No, I did miss that. I didn't know they had talking crocodiles. There was a case 2 years back. 2 sons were eaten by a croc after Sangoma told them that sleeping with it would cure their infertility. Oh my goodness. Is that really an app you're not making up? Yeah, that app will crash very quickly. So, Red John, what's the answer? What is the answer? What's that? Dale Heath is subscribed. Thank you for your subscription. Appreciate it. Very kind of you. Okay. Yeah, Red John, what's the answer? You've got us all waiting to know what the answer is. We want to know what the answer is. Oh, Cutie. Oh. Keeping us in suspense. Anyway, yeah, so coming up at the top of the hour will be Professor G and I, our first collaboration. No, I don't think we'll discuss visits to Zimbabwe with Professor G. I don't think that's really what we're going to talk about. We'll see how it goes. It'll be the first time. I asked him a few months back if he's willing to do it, I think late last year, and he wasn't really interested. Then out of the blue, in March, he contacted me and said, hey, can we do a stream? I said, sure. He said, Tuesday. I said, I'm not here. So we postponed it, tried again. So now we're finally doing it. Not my wife, Jess, is on the groups, and they sent out a video. Hopefully it will be sorted. It says, Hannes. Okay, Hannes, thank you for sharing that. I don't need to see those pictures. The crocodile and the body parts, no. Lorraine, yeah, I do need sleep. I've never eaten crocodile. And now that I know they're eating people in South Africa, I won't be eating them ever. I've had ostrich. That's about as exotic as I've gotten. I've eaten kudu. But I've never, ever, ever eaten alligator or crocodile. Raina said, I get a chance to read your mail. I don't recall reading it. I read a bunch of emails, but I don't recall that. Oh, you forgot to feed your cats, Karen. Oh, they're going to let you know that. Your children will be half crocodile. You guys are funny. Yeah, I've heard it tastes like chicken, but I mean, I'm not interested. So I found a cool app that I can now dictate. So now I've got something here. It's called Handy. And will allow me to, when I have notes, I can just record them into a document. Other news from yourself and like-minded, can Fox News be trusted? Muy Clough, yeah, it depends what they're talking about. Fox News is not objective. They used to say fair and balanced, but they don't claim that anymore because they're not fair and balanced. They're very much in the tank for one side of the aisle. And they also have objectives here. They were single-handedly responsible for, pushing $1 billion of free advertising for Donald Trump in the 2016 election campaign. And then once he became president, they betrayed him and turned on him. And then the last time around, they were kind of in his camp. I don't know that you can trust. There's that pump. I was wondering where that pump went. Oh, we went to bump you up. This came with one of the balls. I bought a rugby ball, or a kit of rugby stuff at a petrol station in France when I was there for the World Cup. See, Coupe du Monde, a rugby, France 2023. So it's a mini little pump. So it's great for pumping up these mini little fan balls. And this one's okay. I don't think it needs much air, but the other ones do. So where the heck's the hole at? It's usually right in there somewhere. There it is. So. Never had zebra. That doesn't sound like something I want to eat. Oops. I should let more air out than I let in. That's crazy. I think I let more out than I put in. This one needs a lot of air. So we'll try this one. This is the Sevens World Cup in San Francisco. So this one's already almost a decade old. Should say people staying in Santon pay 3% less for power than people. Really? This thing is leaking air. Needle got stuck. All the air came back out. That sucks. Ugh. Try that again. That was a lot of wasted energy. For some reason it's coming out the top here. This thing used to work. Maybe it's just getting old or something fell out of it. I'm going to try that again. Is it true that refugees will use Medicaid from October 1st? Neff, I've heard that. I don't know that it's true. It could very well be a consequence of the Big Beautiful Bill. Loretta says crazy with the funeral arrangements. Okay. Send me a WhatsApp. Okay. All right. I'm going to have to get my proper one. This one isn't working anymore. So that's shot. That's not doing anything. So I'll have to get a proper pump. I've got a bigger pump that does the trick. Okay. Tampa Chick says, oh, snap. I'm not sure why. I'm back on old YouTube account, says Madeline. Okay. Madeline, I'm glad you still have it and you didn't lose it. It's frustrating to lose accounts. They keep on blaming whites for all that's wrong in South Africa, and for that reason, employees of many businesses steal and sabotage the very same business which pay them for the work. Yeah, I know you've got that too. You see that all the time. Idiots who sabotage the business they work for and they put them out of business because they're dim-witted and stupid. It's what happens with a 30% pass rate. Low IQ crowd. Definitely a low IQ crowd. That's the reality. So, all right. Okay, folks, I'm going to wrap it up here. And it was a short one because we're going to have Professor G and I at the top of the hour. So take a short break. That clock is 3 minutes behind. It's actually 10 till. Keeps falling behind. Yeah, that pump sucks. I got to get the other one. Swaz, I see Peter Tosh. So I had dip in river, had to lie down, climbing out, fell chest deep in a hole in the bank. Headline next day, woman taken by Crockett, big man. Oh, God. Wow, good thing you missed that. Just missed what, says Andrea. Okay. Yep. You guys are welcome. Please join me for Professor G for my first collab with him coming up in about 10 minutes. All right? Appreciate it. You guys take care. Cheers. Be well.